and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Mom with the new fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
How do you do, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And I'm your sonic transducer, Mike.
And it's Gill.
And we are back for our final episode of Pride Month. Hopefully it's been a good Pride Month for everybody. You know, you've been wearing lots of sweet Pride things. I know I've busted out all my hundreds of pairs of Pride socks. I'm like well known in my area for just colorful socks that I wear and tons of Pride socks. And no one can see because we're not high tech enough to have video yet, I guess. But you know, I'm rocking my Frankenfurter Pride t-shirt. Oh, Mike is giving us like a little
I was actually so confused by what was happening.
Giving us a little tease there.
Little
Little strip show.
I love it.
And we are Coltonless this episode. Colton is at work. We're automatically going to assume that Colton hates Pride Month. As we always do, we like to make assumptions that are usually correct. So,
especially when they involve assassinating somebody's character.
But before we get into anything else, I did have a little bit of housekeeping. Well, just really one thing. And I just wanted to announce we have a new feature on our podcast. You can text the podcast now. So any of the episodes that you're listening to, you'll see at the top of the description, whether it's Apple, Spotify, anywhere, it'll say, if you have a comment or a question, to click the link. It's like highlighted or whatever. And when you click that, it will actually open up your phone messages on your phone and text our phone number. So we have a phone number. We will get your texts. And yeah, you can, I think it's only text. I don't think you can send us like dick pics or anything like that. So
what's the point?
Yeah, you'll have to just draw it out through, eights and equal signs.
Pride Month is canceled.
Stuff like that. But yeah, so that's a new feature that our service provider has given us. And I think it's pretty cool. Another way for you guys to, get in contact with the show and, interact, talk. And of course, we'll read it on the next episode. And we know where we're going to start, guys. We're going to start with what we've been consuming. What have we been watching? What have we been listening to? What have we been reading? All that good stuff. Mike, we're going to start with you.
Ooh, me. I love to start because I never finish.
Whoa.
Listen, it's let's be real here. Okay, so I haven't been consuming a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I've been grinding a battle pass on my video games. So what little free time I have when I'm not commuting to work and shit is generally eating and then doing that. So I feel like since the last time was when I watched this, did I say Hellraiser last time? Because we watched a 4K of Hellraiser.
Yes, you did.
Okay, well then I watched that and never mind. So it was wonderful. It bears repeating. Okay, so I watched a couple of shitty TV, erotic thriller movies with my friend the other day, because that's what we do. We get drunk and watch either TV movies or erotic thrillers, and we watched both this week. One was called Mortal Passions.
Ooh.
And it's funny because literally 5 minutes after I logged it on Letterboxd, one of our friends texted me and was like, Mike, did you just watch a weird erotic thriller from the 90s with the cute guy next door from Gremlins? And I was like, I sure did. So yes, Mortal Passions is a very bad very tame, not very erotic, nor thrilling thriller. Starring Zach Galligan, who most people know from Gremlins. And it was mediocre at best. But it had a banging score, which it used for about 30 seconds during the whole movie. It was just like this weird, like, lack of music. But every time it came on for like 10 seconds, I was like, fuck yes, like, I need to find this online somewhere. Like, where is the Mortal Passions original soundtrack? So yeah, that was like a whatever. It's like, put it on in the background or when you want to watch pure trash. And the other one was like a rewatch, a favorite. My friend had never seen it. I used to watch it all the time. They used to repeat it on a couple of channels. It was like an NBC movie originally, but it was from the mid-90s, and it's so fucking 90s. And it starred, of course, Shannon Doherty, our 90s queen, Charmed, etc., Beverly Hills. And it was called Friends Till the End. Yes, sorry. And it's essentially like kind of a single white female-esque, like, she's like in college and she's in the sorority and she's a singer and she has this band and she's in Battle of the Bands and like everybody loves them. And then this girl like becomes friends with her and slowly starts like taking over her life. Actually, it's not slowly, because by like 45 minutes in, she's like fully like gaslighting Shannon Doherty and has her life like in the toilet. And it's actually really fun. We had to watch it on YouTube, so it was literally like 240p.
I love that.
It was fun. Literally like if you were like really, really, really drunk, like you drank like 4 bottles of tequila and it was 2:00 in the morning and you were trying to look at your TV, that's what it felt like.
That's amazing.
And honestly, it was like so much fun. It's like that type of movie is such a vibe. That's why we always watch them. And so other than that, last night I actually finally caught Furiosa, which I really enjoyed. It wasn't, everyone's like, oh, it's not as good as Fury Road. And it's like, yeah, I know, nothing is. That's the worst part. Like, it's one of those movies where it's like, I almost wish that he had done another tale in that universe that didn't have those characters in it. But also it was really, really good. So it's hard to watch that movie without comparing it to the other movie, which I feel like is unfair because it is kind of its own thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, obviously Anya Taylor-Joy, Mother. I don't know the man's name because he was a man, but
typical.
He was also very good. Yeah, typical me, right? Sorry. I think his name was like Tom Burke or something. Or
who cares?
Am I thinking of like Tom Hardy? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he was really good too. But yeah. Anya Taylor-Joy was mothering. Hemsworth was actually pretty good too. He was enjoyable. Great experience. Yeah, I enjoyed it. And it was actually not an awful experience. I never go to movies in theaters. So, yeah. Jill, what about you? What have you been sucking in? I was about to say.
Well, I'm going to segue to that in a second. But I just wanted to say, you are so fun, Mike. Like, I wish we lived in the same city still so we could drink every weekend and watch stuff.
Oh, we would be just like wasted all the time.
I know. You
and just
such
like
a fun
watching
time.
the pure trash. I love it.
I
love that you're into it. You're into it.
She could watch stuff with you, and then she would leave to do all the sucking in. So,
well,
so
yeah,
the in and out. Yeah.
Well, I have 2 segues to go with sucking. Both books. Let me get into.
Oh my God, this has to do with what she's been reading. I know it. If she's talking about sucking,
is.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we'll start with Salt Kiss.
Oh, Salt. Yeah, that's right.
I texted the group chat about this, and things were said.
As they usually are.
Yeah.
Unrepeatable things are usually said.
Yeah, I got to start a different chat for my group book club. Please cut all this out. But yeah, I read Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone, which is a contemporary romance novel, which isn't really my favorite subgenre of romance. I actually kind of hate it. I don't know why. I just prefer my romance to have fantasy, horror, or
Minotaur foreskins.
Twist. Yeah, something fun.
Obviously.
Something fun, yeah. But I did really enjoy this book. It's about a guy who is hired by his brand new uncle-in-law, so uncle by marriage, to be his bodyguard. And then his uncle is the owner of a kink club in DC. So he develops relations with his new uncle-in-law /boss, and then finds out that he's engaged to this woman in Ireland. And because of a shooting incident that happens at the club and an injury, guess who gets to go escort the fiance on a yacht to America from Ireland? Yeah, it's
okay. So it's like a bisexual wet dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. More relations form and it gets really spicy. And I said this before. Sierra Simone writes like the spiciest shit. It makes me want to need Jesus afterwards, which is appropriate because she also writes like a lot of religious imagery and stuff into her books. I think she's like Catholic or was Catholic. So that's really
I have her Gay Monk book. I just haven't read it yet.
Yes, yeah. And she also wrote the Priest series, which I read the first one of, and that's really good. And she also writes a lot in the point of view of a man, which is interesting.
Which is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. She's really good at it, in my opinion. But yeah, apart from that, I read a novel called An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. So I read a short story by this author in Le Petit Moor, which is the dark fairy tale anthology I was talking about a little while ago. Yeah, so this one is a gothic dark academia set in this all-girls school in the 70s, and it's a Carmilla retelling.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar, but there's thunder happening outside, and it is scaring me.
Very appropriate for this episode.
It is really appropriate for this movie, so, I kind of like it. It's setting a vibe. But yeah, so Carmilla is the story that inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it's a sapphic vampire story. And this is the first time I've read like a real sapphic vampire thing, so I'm really into it. It goes really well together. But in this book, the main character is in this prestiged poetry seminar where the professor is like very captivating in any ways. There's like this academic rivalry between the main character and another student for the professor's attention. So you have like relationships going on between the students and then the students with their professor. And then we find out the professor is a vampire. So it's really good. It gets really spicy. I'm obsessed with S.T. Gibson's writing. It's just like so decadent. And I was so obsessed with that I went ahead and read A Dowry of Blood by her. And it's a queer brides of Dracula retelling. Also really good. Yeah.
Nice.
And then I read by her a short story that goes with that novel. It's called An Encore of Roses. Also really good. Really good commentary on toxic relationships, which I really think works with the Dracula character and the brides. And currently, I am reading Howl's Moving Castle.
Yes.
It's so cozy, so comforting.
Nice,
I love it.
yeah.
It's like one of my favorite movies.
It's a good one.
So yeah, the book is really nice. For watching, I did an episode on Straight Jacket Talk on Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Nice.
So if you want to go check that out, go ahead.
And we shared it. All those episodes we'll share.
Oh, sweet.
In the stories. We figured, we're like, I guess we can share other things Jill does.
Yeah, I guess so. Why not? I appreciate that. I also watched Knife Plus Heart.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I know both of you love.
Yep.
So it's a very like giallo queer French film. And I thought it looked and sounded really good. What did you guys think?
I like literally dream about this movie like once a month.
Yeah,
I constantly have the soundtrack on when I'm reading, and like, oh god, I've never. The first time I watched it was when we did our episode on it, like I want to say whatever that was, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I've never stopped thinking about it ever. I just like constantly like think about images from it and the music, and I love Vanessa Paradis. Oh my god. Ooh.
I love her French also.
Yeah.
That was one of the things about the movie I liked, is that sometimes French films can be kind of hard to understand, like even though I speak French. But Vanessa Paradis and Kate Moran, I think, is like her friend in the movie. I think she's actually like an Anglophone. So, and then you have Vanessa Paradis. So like I feel like both their French is really easy to follow, because when I had it on, I was also playing Stardew Valley, so I couldn't look at the subtitles, but I still understood what was going on. Like, it was, I don't know, I really liked it. I love the color and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
But what about you,
Yeah.
Rowan?
I absolutely love that movie. That's like I watch that pretty much every Pride Month that'll come out. I mean, it doesn't have to be Pride Month. You can watch it anytime, but yeah, for like a modern giallo, I just,
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, there's a lot of contemporary movies, I think, that try to get the vibe that one does nail, and they just don't quite get there. And I feel like part of it is because it actually does feel like it's very like stylized and, you know, extreme in a way, but it's really grimy. And I feel like the giallos like are kind of grimy, and that's what like people love about them, and I feel like that one captures that. And I think it's because of the like seediness of it. It's, you know, with like the porn and the location and stuff, it's just, it feels like a little bit seedy and grimy, and I love it. The vibe, I think it just nails it so perfectly. And I just have to say I'm fucking gutted because I have been desperately trying to get the Blu-ray of it forever. And I didn't buy it when we first saw it because I was like, oh, I'll just buy that whenever. And I didn't realize that it was like a small label that put it out. I thought it was just whoever. And now I'm like, oh, fuck, their shit goes out of print like in 2 months and you'll never see it again. So cool. If any sugar anythings want to send me a copy of it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because, like, when I bought it, I remember I didn't watch it till we reviewed it, but I remember, like, seeing the trailer and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is, like, up my alley. I have to buy this, and at the time, I was living in Toronto, so the video place that I would buy everything from, like, got it in, it came out, and I was like, yeah, sold. I will buy this right
get
now.
It, yeah. It's meant to be.
Yeah. But apart from that, I watched, Mike mentioned this last week, or last episode, the Gaga Chromatica Ball. Fucking love that. I was crying, like sobbing during Born This Way.
It was perfect. That like fucking the piano, that insane like monstrous Cronenberg gothic piano.
Yes. And like the mask she had on. The outfits were amazing. The dancers were amazing. The performance was amazing. The whole thing was amazing. So definitely go check that out.
Yep.
If you
it's
don't
a
like
good
Lady
Pride
Gaga,
Month watch. It's a good Pride Month watch. Yeah,
exactly. You're not an ally if you don't like Lady Gaga.
Exactly.
I went to see Melanie Martinez last weekend or the weekend before that. I don't remember, but that was a really good show. Also, I also cried during that. I just cried during everything. But there were just like so many women and girls. There were barely any men, and it was just such a peaceful. This sounds really shitty, but it was like such a peaceful atmosphere. I was so happy that I was crying. I was like, man, if women could just get together without men like this, we could run the world. We could, you know, have world peace. This is great. It was beautiful. Loved it. And the band that opened for her was Beach Bunny. And I've been loving her music as well. It's like kind of like
oh my god, I have one of her
surfer.
albums. It's so
Really?
good. Yeah.
Which one?
The one with there's like it's like green and purple.
Oh,
maybe?
Prom Queen?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I have one on I play on my Spotify every now and then. Yeah.
That's awesome. She's so good. Yeah, I remember she was playing and everyone was really vibing to it, and everyone had their like phone flashlights out and waving it. And I don't know. I was just having a great time. I was just crying, and I was like, I love this. Beach Bunny is so good. So yeah, Beach Bunny, Melanie Martinez. The last thing I'll talk about.
Emotional Creature. It's called.
Oh, okay, that one.
Yeah,
Ooh, I like that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been listening to her on repeat. So good.
Yeah, it was like there's a hand or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like sad girl surfer rock kind of.
Yeah, that's also my vibe.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll talk about is I watched my best friend's Exorcism because I've been wanting to read the book. Still haven't read the book.
That was one of those books that I've read like half of it.
Yeah.
And it like not because it was bad, just like something was going on and I put it down, then I've never picked it up again. But I enjoy the books, what I've read.
I'll have to read it and see. But I heard it was better than the movie. I thought the movie was pretty decent.
I thought the movie was pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not like going in expecting like this like instant horror classic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Lisa Frankenstein, but I will say that Lisa Frankenstein's a fucking classic. Colton's gonna be
P.S.
fuming.
I will be watching that soon because it's out on Prime now.
Absolutely,
Nice.
I can't wait to hear about it. Do it next week so Colton can hear about it 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
3
I'll
weeks,
just drive him nuts.
you know,
yeah,
every single
week in a row. Yeah.
But yeah, this one is like, kind of same vibe, like retro, but funny and kind of campy and slashery. But it's also a possession film. So I loved it. Not as much as I love Lisa Frankenstein, but I thought it was fun. Rowan, what else have you been watching?
What have I? So I haven't been reading anything. I was trying to figure out. You know what? This is where we'll. I haven't said anything yet. So I haven't been reading anything. I've only been watching like a little bit. So I think we talked months ago. Anyway, I'm like in the middle of an adoption process, and we never really gave an update on that. So yeah, we're adopting a girl, and we will start meeting her and that process next week. You guys will be listening to this. I will have already started that process. So like in a month, she'll fully be living with us. And so I've got the watching, I've got to get in order, because I figure I'm going to have to like teach her to watch all these horror movies and stuff. so yeah, I haven't read anything. I did a little bit of TV watching. Obviously, like most of the time, nothing that I know these two care about. I'm watching a FX show called Clipped, which is about Donald Sterling's scandal in the NBA. He was the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, and a TMZ leaked a tape of him just saying like some real vile racist things. He was just this self-made like billionaire that felt that he basically like owned his black players and he could do whatever he wanted. His mistress, his Latina / black mistress, recorded everything he ever said to her, which she also was not like a great person. She was just basically trying to become like a Kim Kardashian, figuring out how to become famous. It didn't really work out for her. But yeah, it was a whole scandal, and basically, if you know anything about basketball, like the Clippers are a notorious team that never win anything. And that year they actually like were doing very well. They were in the playoffs. So this was like a big scandal that like they lost in the playoffs, and like people thought they were going to win the whole thing. So it kind of threw everything off, and just really it was something that at least the NBA like had never seen. So yeah, the FX did a show about it. The main cast is Lawrence Fishburne, and I can never remember his name. The guy from Married with Children and like Modern Family and stuff. You know who I'm talking about. I can't.
Oh, Ed Ross, Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, Ed O'Neill or whatever his name is. Yeah, he plays Donald Sterling, and he's awesome in it. Like, I mean, I love him, so he's great. It's also pretty funny if you're in the basketball, because everyone they cast look nothing like the people. Like, actually super funny, nothing like the people. So they'll just be like famous basketball players, and then there's just like random fat guys playing them, and it's just like funny. So I've been watching that, and shout out to Willow. We've been texting, talking shit to each other, because I've obviously been watching. It's the NBA Finals right now. Willow's a huge basketball head too, so
you guys are nerds, by the way.
My Boston Celtics 3-0. They're about to win the championship, so let's go Celtics. Hopefully nothing disastrous happens and I walk that back. And then for movies, it's been a lot of rewatches this last little bit, but I have done some. Don't judge me, people. So I randomly was in bed and I was on Tubi, and I say rewatch because I remember seeing it when it first came out. I watched the first Zeitgeist movie. No, you don't need to worry. I'm not gonna raid the Capitol or anything, and I'm not converted. It was on Tubi, and I was like, hey, remember when that was a thing? And it was like, that came out on YouTube, and it was like the talk of the town. So I was like, I wonder how that holds up. And then I watched it, and not great. I feel like, it's split into 3 parts. The first part is like about God and why he doesn't exist, and, how he's like made up, and, Christianity's version of God is stolen from all this other stuff. which as someone that doesn't believe in God, I'm like, cool. But when you look in it, like most of these, you know, conspiracy documentaries, like you literally just have to Google for like 2 seconds to find out that like most of the stuff they're using to dispute this like isn't actually true, or it's just like something the guy heard. The second part is about 9/11, you know, was an inside job. You know, it's fun to listen to because you're like, hey, remember when this was also like a big thing?
Yeah.
And then the third one's where you're like, yeah, I see where all these like Alex Jones people started, because that one's all about like the banking system and stuff, and it pretty quickly like goes into like, you know, the Jewish people like are the cabal, and you're like, oh yeah. So you know, it's not good, but
critical thinking is essential.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, I was watching more for just like, I was like, I wonder what this was like because I don't remember it. And yeah.
I got a question though. Where were you January 6th?
I'll let my lawyers handle that one.
I have a picture of Rowan with a flag in his hand and a brace on his neck. I'm kidding. The capital Mima. It was actually Rowan.
Oh my god.
Other rewatches I did, I watched The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard. I love this movie. It's kind of this like underrated comedy gem. It's Jeremy Pivens. I mean, there's tons of people in it. I can't even like name. It's like a lot of people that are in like Will Ferrell movies and stuff like that. It's just a comedy about a used car salesman. It's literally one of my favorite movies, like comedy movies. It's one of those ones that like early 2000s when, you know, we were still doing like pretty inappropriate and like raunchy comedies, and you know, those have their place in time. I thought it was pretty funny. Also rewatched Grandma's Boy, because why wouldn't I? I've said like 8 million times on this podcast, because I'm sure I've watched it 8 million times. Like, that's an all-timer for me. I'm not an Adam Sandler fan, so, you know, the best kind of Happy Madison production to me is a movie that doesn't have Adam Sandler in it, but kind of has all his peripheral people that weren't from Saturday Night Live, but, you know, show up in like The Wedding Singer and stuff like that, and you know, it's a stoner comedy about video games. It's hilarious. Some other rewatches I did. Don't Be a Menace to South Central while you're drinking your juice in the hood. Another all-timer.
Wow, I haven't heard tell of that in like 15 years.
Yeah, I bought it actually on DVD. I got the unrated DVD because I'd never seen like the director's cut of it. So this was my first time seeing the director's cut. I mean, that movie's just...
What's in the director's cut that isn't in the regular one?
There's just a bunch of scenes, awesome, funny scenes.
Very specific.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I mean, just go watch it. If you're a fan of the Wayne brothers and like early Wayne brothers... you know, it's hilarious, especially if you grew up on movies like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood.
Oh my god, classic.
And all that stuff. Like, it's just a movie parodying hood movies. So, yeah, I love that. Super funny. I did a rewatch of Senior Trip, National Lampoon Senior Trip, which fantastic stoner comedy.
Shout out to Mother Valerie Mahaffey, love her.
Also, Jeremy Rayner's first feature, where he just plays a stoner. And yeah, it's just, you know, it's a high school National Lampoon movie that, you know what you're getting into. Chon's in it. He's like one of the stars of it. So, you know, it's good. Good stuff. Another rewatch, A Lowdown Dirty Shame. This is another, like, you guys are getting into my childhood. I rented this all the time.
That is a really good movie. Love
the soundtrack. Soundtrack's amazing. Young Jada Pinkett.
Jada Pinkett is so perfect. Oh my god. This was like made her a star as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, she's great in this. And I'm not even like a huge Jada Pinkett fan, but I do like really early Jada Pinkett. She's fantastic in this. This is Keenan Ivory Wayans. This was kind of their attempt to make him an action star. I thought it was done pretty well. I think it was pretty unsuccessful box office. I saw it has
I mean, I feel like it was a flop in terms of like numbers, but it was successful because most people that saw it actually really liked it.
I saw it has 4%,
which for that type of movie
Tomato.
usually, I feel like at that point most people were like, movies like that came out it was like, oh, this is like action garbage, but that was actually like, oh, this is funny and good.
Yeah,
well written.
I really enjoy it. So it was fun to watch that again. The last rewatch, I should say, that I saw. I rewatched The First Omen again. I watched it. Exilia hadn't seen it, so I was like, hey, I think you're really gonna like this. I saw it was on Disney Plus, so I threw it on. Exilia did not like it, so I was kind of saddened by that. She was like, I'm not into this. She doesn't really like religious horror stuff. So as feminist as fuck as that movie is, the religious part took her out of it. But I mean, when we did it on Now Slain, I had high praise for it. I said Arkesha Stevenson, the next Jordan Peele. So obviously I really enjoyed it. For new watches, I finally saw The Iron Claw. That was great.
Ooh, yeah? Did it make you cry?
I didn't cry. Probably because I already knew what was going on. Everyone kind of ruined it for me. That everyone.
Aw. It's still really sad.
It is sad. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, also I have no connection with wrestling, or I didn't even really know who these people were. And then once I found out that there was a kid they didn't even include that also died, just because they were like, oh, this is already. I don't know why it would be too sad. You've already killed everybody. What's one more? But yeah, it was fantastic, like an A24 drama. Zac Efron, I fucking love Zac Efron anyway, so
he was so good in that.
Just juiced right up. There's no way steroids is not his friend for that film. Then I saw Dunkirk. I'd never seen this. It was one of those things where the 4K was at Walmart for $15, and I was like, $15 4K. I've never seen it. I have a shaky relationship with Christopher Nolan, I'd say, whether I like his stuff or not. I thought this was all right. It was just kind of middle of the road. It had some issues with just the way the story was laid out. I thought it's told in different times, but as they go back and forth through the different times, it's not really, they don't let you know, so it can get kind of confusing and muddled. And then also, I mean, I've said 8 million times on this podcast that war movies just really aren't necessarily my thing. So, I thought it was all right. It's not the best war movie I've ever seen. Me and Colton went and saw The Watchers. We did a Now Slain episode on it. So you'll have to go and hear what we thought of the Shauna Night Shyamalan's debut feature. See if we enjoyed it. And then I'm sure anyone that was looking at my, actually we'll do this before I get to the last segment. So I watched Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Why did I do that? I don't know why I do that to myself.
Wait, did you say Die Hard, like the Kevin Hart one?
Yes.
I literally will tell you exactly why you did right now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I know why you did.
Why?
Are you ready? Because your fucking Roku TV advertised it.
Yeah.
That's why. And you went, oh, I should definitely watch that because I'm Rowan. It was on your fucking Roku TV. I'm telling you right now.
And the issues, I saw the first one. I'm a completionist, and I try to see everything that comes out. And this was a good one. I watched at work, so if I'm interrupted, it's just I can pause it. I don't really care. And it's not great. These are not great at all. You've got to like Kevin Hart to enjoy these at all. But, Kevin Hart's getting a paycheck. That's what he's doing with these. He just kind of churns out these action comedies. The best part of this one, John Cena's in it, and he is awesome in this. I mean, obviously, all the comedy stuff John Cena's done, he's a pretty good comedic actor. But, yeah, I mean, don't go watch this.
Was there a table smashed involved?
There was a lot of, knife fighting and stuff.
Okay.
No table smashing. And then the last set of stuff I watched, I know a couple people wrote me and said, what's going on with you right now? Because I watched a whole lot of Jennifer Lopez. Basically, I was going through my watch list.
Poor J-Lo.
Of new stuff.
She is hated right now.
Jeez, her life is just flopping.
Sorry.
So I had a bunch of stuff on my watch list, and I was like, why not just pound it all out at once? So I watched This Is Me Now, which is her, what would you call it, visual album, visual film.
Okay, I heard something about her. I heard that she's not even singing.
Those allegations have been around for at least 12 or 13 years.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just her kind of version of, like Purple Rain, or like basically just a movie that she wrote and directed, or like, shadow directed. It just plays all the songs of her album. And then it's some weird like sci-fi story that she made up. It's actually directed, I can't remember his name, but it's the guy that directed like Jenny from the Block music video. It's like basically a guy she worked with for the This Is Me Then album, and she hadn't worked with him since then, brought him back to do this movie.
Neither one of them has been doing much, I'm sure.
Yeah, and
I'm kidding, I don't know who he is.
It's not good. The music's not good. Like, I'm not ever really a big J-Lo fan, but then, like, her older music is, way better than this. The only thing that kind of made this funny was, like, her therapist in it is played by Fat Joe, and he was very charming in it. There's a Zodiac council of, like, all the Zodiac signs that are watching her from the heavens, and this was, like, her, like, how many famous people can I get in flex in this? So like Post Malone plays Leo. What's your name? Kim Petre. Is it Petre's?
Kim Petras?
Petra. She's in, I forget what sign she plays. Keke Palmer plays someone.
Okay, mother.
I'm trying to think who else. There's a bunch of other people.
Who's Aquarius?
I can't remember. I really can't remember. This was not a memorable thing. My favorite was Gemini.
Oh.
Gemini was played by Jennifer Lewis. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Jennifer Lewis. Like, I'm just saying, the listeners...
During Pride Month?
Yeah, Jennifer Lewis is amazing in this. She's the best part of it.
You just said, I don't know who knows Jennifer Lewis during Pride Month. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
I meant for the average, like, horror listener.
Okay,
maybe.
Fair.
Maybe they don't know. I'm not sure.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second to say I said I don't think either of them has been working very much lately, and then I looked up who directed that video, and it was Francis Lawrence, who did, like, Constantine and all the fucking Hunger Games movies. I was like, okay, I take it back. I'm sorry. I did not know who it was. I was not familiar.
And while you talked, I looked up who all the people were. Trevor Noah plays Libra.
Okay.
Sofia Vergara. I'm not Spanish. She played Cancer. Aries is played by Jay Shetty. I don't know who that is.
Jay Shetty is like a monk who's like a self-help guru.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's probably her self-help guru.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And then Taurus is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh my god, my sign gets ruined, of course.
And then Pisces was a guy named Sadhguru. I don't know who he is. This is the only thing he's ever been in. I'm looking now. He's the founder and head of some sort of spiritual yoga thing.
See, I fucking knew it. She's going right down that fucking wellness pipeline right now.
So, yeah.
Her life is falling apart, so she's going to end up joining a fucking wellness cult. I'm telling you.
And then also also Ben Affleck's in this. He plays like this weird Bill O'Reilly newscaster that's on the news, and they have like this creepy old man makeup on him with long hair. It's just bizarre. So anyway, let me get through this. So after this, I watched The Greatest Love Story Never Told, which is a documentary about the making of This Is Now music film that basically is put out by Ben Affleck's company. And the highlight of that was Neil deGrasse Tyson. They cast him, and then he basically talks shit the entire time because he's like, I think, the zodiac sign stuff is like garbage. Like, I don't believe in it. And he's just basically trying to tell everyone why it's not real. And it's hilarious. And then the other funny part is all the really famous people that she tried to get. And like, there's just a montage of just all of them said no to her. They're like, no, I'm good. It was like Taylor Swift and like all these people that were just like, no, and her agents being like, yeah, no one wants to do this. They think it's bad. She funded this with her own money. Like, that's how bad it was. No one would pay for it.
Good.
So, and then after that, to round this off, I watched Atlas, which is her new movie on Netflix.
Is that the sci-fi one?
The sci-fi one. It's not great.
God.
I mean, she's pretty good in it. But like, this is another one of those. I think Netflix spent like 160 million or something,
and this is why they're tanking.
Yeah, it looks like the Asylum that made Sharknado made it. Like, the effects are terrible. It's got I can't think of his name there, Sima Lu, or
yeah.
He's terrible. I mean, I think we're just learning that he's not good in anything he's in, really.
But like, he's hot. So
yeah, and he's very like, he seems very nice, very charming.
Yeah.
But like, he's just not a great actor. And Sterling Brown's in this, and like, Sterling Brown deserves better. He was just in American Fiction. Like, he was in a movie. Like, I'm pretty sure he got nominated for like supporting actor or something. And then he's doing this, and yeah, it was just like, oh. That's where I'm ending this off with. Yeah, we're going to get into our film for the episode. Our final Pride pick, which is the Rocky Horror Picture Show from 1975. Yeah, this was my pick. Do I really have to explain why the Rocky Horror Picture Show was picked for Pride Month? No. Not
well,
really.
I think we're about to spend a while explaining it.
But I mean, yeah, I picked this because I said last episode, I wanted to have some fun. You know, we don't always get to do something a little upbeat, something a little different. So, you know, I said, let's get away from, some of the trauma porn for a bit. And
that's why Colton's not here today.
Too happy for him. So yeah, Rocky Horror Picture Show 1975. Let's get into the trailer, and we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences.
You've seen all kinds of movies, but you've never seen anything like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
They're probably foreigners with ways different than our own.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
See the Rocky Horror Picture Show. A different set of Jaws. Rated R.
1975's The Rocky Horror Picture Show, directed by Jim Sharman and written by Richard O'Brien and Jim Sharman, and the synopsis is as follows. A different set of Jaws. Sweethearts Brad and Janet, stuck with a flat tire during a storm, discover the eerie mansion of Dr. Frankenfurter, a transvestite scientist. As their innocence is lost, Brad and Janet meet a house full of wild characters, including a rocking biker and a creepy butler. Through elaborate dances and rock songs, Frankenfurter unveils his latest creation, a muscular man named Rocky. So, our first experiences, is this our first time watching it, or, you know, do we just rock out with our cocks out to the Rocky Horror Picture Show all the time? We'll start with you, Colton. Oh, wait, you're not here, Colton.
Oh. He is not rocking out.
We'll start with you, Jill.
First, I want to say that was a really good synopsis of Rocky Horror.
It was.
Thank you, Letterboxd.
For like anyone.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was very well written.
Okay. Well, eloquent even. Well, yeah, this is not my first time watching it. Shocker. I've seen it a bunch, and also I get really triggered when I hear time warp, because somewhere on the internet, on YouTube, there is a video of me and my friends doing a Winter Carnival lip sync in university, and one of our songs was Time Warp, and we rehearsed that all the time.
Internet, do your internet things, and please find that video.
Literally,
send it to us.
Sorry, bro, I'm not paying attention. I'm currently Googling Jill's video.
You're not gonna find it, probably. My friend Nicole, she's the one who did the choreography, and now she does drag in St. John's. She's really cool. So
I'm just gonna message Nicole out of the blue and say, hello, you don't know me, but I need a video Gill.
It was really fun, but yeah, I love this movie. Spoiler. Not my first time. What about you, Mike?
Oh my god, I've seen it like 20 times over the years, I'm sure. You know,
it would have been wild if Mike was
I don't
like,
even,
I've
I
never
literally,
heard of
it's, I don't even know when I first saw it. It was just probably on TV late at night, you know, when I was like 14 or something. Yeah, like literally, it's one of those that, you know, weirdly, when Ro gives you your two choices of, is this your first time or something ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's never the latter, but this time I think we're all the latter. Ro, what do you think?
Yeah.
Are you
yeah.
rocking it with your cock
God.
out all the time to this? You are. I know you are. You're that girl.
I will say this. I might be confident in my answer that I think if I took all the times that I would imagine Jill has seen it and that Mike has seen it and put it together, it's probably still less than I've seen this. I watch this so much. I have this on VHS. I have this on the Blu-ray they just put out, like the 30th or 40th anniversary. I've had this VHS so many times. I was lucky enough that, you know, I was introduced to this from my mom. My mom loves this movie. And, you know, weirdly enough, you know, I was introduced to this. We'll get into it more in the main review, but by the soundtrack for the sequel and not this. They kind of led me to that. But yeah,
that's so weird.
I've seen this
so
much. So yeah, I mean, let's just do it. Let's open the floor. Let's get into the, you know, fishnet stockings and corsets of it all. The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
What a beauty.
Well, listen, I'll just continue the story since we're in the review now. So yeah, so you know, if you're not aware, this does have a sequel called Shock Treatment. Which I am there's part of me that wants to say I like the Shock Treatment soundtrack better than this. I don't like the movie better. The movie follows like Brad and Janet in Denton, but not at the Frankenfurter Castle. It's totally recast because no one would come back other than Richard O'Brien and Little Nell and Patricia Quinn. Is it Patricia Quinn?
Yes, of course. How dare you?
I believe they all return, but yeah, Brad, I forget who plays Brad, but Janet, played by Jessica Young in Shock Treatment of Suspiria fame. So yeah, great. The Shock Treatment's it's 80s, so it's very like if you're in like Billy Idol, it's like that kind of music, which is, you know, is kind of my jam. Like I love Billy Idol, stuff like that. So it's a little more like,
well, the original is very Meatloaf coded,
yes,
and I guess that one's Billy Idol coded.
Yeah, this one's just more 80s kind of like synth rock coded. And my mom had that on cassette tape, so when, you know, I listened to that in the car all the time, I would go through all her albums and stuff, so I listened to that, and then she was like, "Oh, this is like a movie soundtrack." She's like, "Ignore that. You need to listen and watch Rocky Horror Picture Show." Yeah, then my life was just opened up to that sweet transvestite Frankenfurter, Tim Curry. Ugh.
God, he makes me so sexually confused in the best way. I love Tim Curry in drag, and only Tim Curry in drag.
Wait, Tim Curry only in drag, or the only person you love in drag is Tim Curry?
No. I only like Tim Curry. I'm only attracted to Tim Curry if he's in drag.
I'm just trying to clarify here.
Yeah.
I mean, Tim Curry, what a voice. I mean, probably, I don't know if many people know, but like Tim Curry had like rock albums out. Like he was after this, he was a full-blown rock star. Like he put albums out and did his music thing. And then obviously, you know, he had a very successful...
I think maybe the phrase rock star is pushing it.
Yeah, where he's not the Rolling Stones or something, but...
Since... I don't think either of us was aware of it.
But I mean, he had albums out. I know he put albums out. I think he had like a big single. I don't know if he made it past the big single, but I mean, you know, what a voice, what a casting, really. This wasn't the first time I had seen him. Obviously, I think I'd seen him in It before I saw this. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm a big Tim Curry fan. I got fucking Tim Curry tattooed on my arm. Of course, I love Tim Curry.
And this was his first movie, right? Like, he was in the production, like the musical production before it became a movie, but this was his first movie?
Yeah, this was his like first big.
What a performance!
I mean, the cast of this is pretty wild. You're just catching like so many people, you know, just like really early on in their careers. So yeah, like I mean, you know, we have like Susan Sarandon, like young Susan Sarandon, who I would argue is probably the worst singer in this musical. I guess you can sing for a normal
person. But she has that kind of like, you know,
her tone is not my favorite. It's very
different,
high pitched. But like Barry Bostwick, I mean, like he's had a pretty successful career. I didn't even recognize that it was him. Like it never clicked in with me that it was him, because I recognize him like with the gray hair and like as an older guy. And then obviously like Meatloaf, we're hitting Meatloaf just at like that prime time of like young Meatloaf. Which I thought was interesting that Meatloaf originally is supposed to play the doctor, Dr. Scott, also. And they decided to cast another actor. Apparently he's like still salty. I saw interviews that he's still salty about that.
I mean, he was.
Yeah.
It's his uncle,
because he's dead.
Yeah, well, I guess the original idea was that he was supposed to play...
Also that.
He was supposed to play both characters, so it was supposed to be like kind of funny that he would...
Oh, that's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, not a big Meatloaf guy myself. I appreciate, I mean, you know, I was around. I remember Anything for Love. I remember that music video.
My dad and my mom's best friend, like some of their favorite, like Bad Outta Hell was like both their favorite albums. So when I was a kid... When I was a kid and like we'd go and they'd like our parents would be like partying together and stuff and we'd be like hanging out in the basement or just like with them or whatever. It was like literally always like fucking Meatloaf playing.
But I will say, like, you know, I do love him in this. I can't imagine anyone else playing Eddie in this, like, just like the perfect voice.
Well, and they took his sound at the time, or I mean, not took it, but like it's the sound of his music at the time, which is very like mid 70s, like because his rock was always like theatrical. It was very not that it was like musical, because it was not like musicals at all, but like it was very over the top, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It was very like theatrical coded for the time. Melodramatic and all that.
I thought it was funny that Jill was talking about Tim Curry and her sexual confusedness. I will say, as a young man, Columbia was just that awoken young Rowan. Yeah. I was all about
Rowan
Columbia.
Really loved that like squeaky, high-pitched voice.
She drives me nuts. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, really? Columbia's still.
I mean,
one of my
love
favorite
Columbia.
parts.
She's no Magenta, but you know.
Yeah, Magenta is queen.
It's such a hard. You know, I'm super excited to talk about this, and it's also such a hard movie because, like I said, I'm just like such in awe.
You love everything.
I read Richard O'Brien's like autobiography he put out like years and years and years ago. I mean, like he's a super interesting guy. Just like the circles he kind of like was around. Like he was talking about like this guy was like before he moved to New Zealand when he was 10, but before that, like this guy was like in school with like David Bowie and. You know, like this guy's best friend was Mick Jagger's girlfriend. Like this guy just like, I mean, highly talented. Like he, you know, you can't watch this and not say like a genius songwriter, a genius writer. But it's just interesting to see that, you know, he was, you know, touched in some way like these people even as a child and like how all of them kind of grew into these, like, you know, rock and music, like, legends and stuff. And I do know he was talking about that originally Frankenfurter, he wanted Mick Jagger. And Mick Jagger was a big fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And he was doing some acting in the 70s, too.
Richard O'Brien, I always say O'Brien, it's O'Brien. But, you know, like, he talks about, like, when they were just doing the off-Broadway stuff in, like, you know, in London, and like Mick Jagger coming, trying to get tickets to sold out shows. And he even talked about like having to turn them down sometimes because he's just like, we can't fit you in. And just like
the way I would literally just walk over to some like old lady and pick her up out of the seat and just move her, like, sorry.
But I mean, I was going to say, just with that information, like, you can see it because even the styling of Tim Curry in this and everything.
It's like this has the swagger of Mick Jagger.
Yeah, I was like, he looks kind of like Mick Jagger in drag. Mm-hmm. So, like, I can definitely see them being influenced by that. I mean, yeah, I don't even know where to start with this.
Since you're talking about David Bowie and like the style of Tim Curry, I think Tim Curry's personal stylist used to be the personal stylist of David Bowie.
Oh, okay, nice.
And it took like 3 to 4 hours to get Tim Curry in full makeup, and it was so demanding that he ended up learning how to do it himself, which I think is really cool because that makeup is immaculate. Yeah. I just want to talk about the makeup for a second because it looks so good.
That mug.
Yeah, the eye makeup, it's so drastic, and then the shiny lipstick. I don't know. It's so like captivating and sexual and really puts emphasis on the lips, and then also the costumes. But we'll come back to the costumes. Go ahead with the music. I just wanted to talk about the makeup.
I was just going to say, like, you know, this is one of the few musicals. You know, I've talked about I'm not a big musical guy. Obviously, we've had lots of different opinions with our missing member, Colton, who talked all that trash about Repo. But yeah, like, this is one of those ones that I just think is like pretty much immaculate from start to finish. Like, even the songs that I'm not like big on, like, serve a purpose, and I think they're all right. I'm not like, oh, this is terrible. I was kind of curious, like, how you guys watch this. So because I'm a nerd, I did watch the US version and the UK version of this, which the UK version has one extra song called Superheroes, which is the music in the US one when the Frankenfurter Castle is like taking off and it's smoky. There's like an instrumental playing. That is actually a whole musical bit in the UK version that they sing a song called Superheroes, but they cut it just for time in the US version.
Wait, so is that like when they're all on the ground in the smoke and they're singing it?
Yeah, so they're on the ground and they actually start singing another song called Superheroes.
Okay, because I did the version I watched did have that.
Yeah,
and to be honest, I was like, I've seen this a bunch of times and I don't remember this happening, but yeah, I don't remember this song,
which is kind of a shame. So I'm just gonna be a prude now and say, yeah, watch the UK version if you're gonna watch this, because I thought the superhero song was great. Like,
yeah,
I was like, it's a shame this kind of got cut, but yeah, I mean,
didn't have that.
Oh, well, you know, not everyone can be cool like us. So, but no, I'm interested. Like, if you gun your head, like I'm at your house, there is a revolver against your head. I'm not dangerous. It's got like a flag in it, like the Joker or something.
Is it right here?
Oh, yeah. It's right in. It's up against Gill's head. I went to Mike's house. I put it into his mouth. And then, you know, Mike looked scared, and I was like, don't act like this is the first time.
Wow. That's it. We're done.
No, but I'm just curious, like, songs, like, you got to pick one song from this. What's the song you're taking from this and putting on the playlist?
Science fiction double feature.
Me too.
Not even thinking about it.
Wow.
I literally, my first note is, good fucking God, this is such a good song. I do listen to it all the time. I do have it on some of my Spotify playlists because I just love, that's why this is such a good musical, because the songs are obviously very specifically intertwined in the movie, but like they're so good that I know a lot of people like listen to musical songs, like, you know, while they're doing stuff or like just to listen to, but I find that really hard. I don't like musical songs divorce, but the songs on this I just love listening to. They're such bangers. Like, you know, it's just like such a great like moody song. I love, oh my God, everything about it. It's just wonderful and beautiful. Am I right, Jill?
Yeah, I love it too. What a great way to open it up and end it. It's so captivating with like the lips. I love all the like
Patricia
nods.
Quinn's lips.
Patricia Quinn, mother, queen, icon.
That's really cool. And I love like I said, I love the way they do the lips and the shiny lipstick in this movie. It's so good. That's why I'm like staring at the whole time. I'm like, man, their lips are so shiny. Their makeup is so good. But yeah, science fiction double feature. I love all the nods to, you know, different like movies you would go see at the drive-in, double feature, science fiction, you know, stuff like that. I love it. It's just such a vibe. It's just a mood, and that's what I love about it. What about you, Rowan?
I asked the question, and then I'm like, oh my god, I don't even know.
You're like, oh shit, I gotta answer now.
So I mean, I feel like mine are my. This is hard. I will say I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do the Exilian cheat. I have two. I will say this
At least you didn't. I thought you were going to say all of them.
I should.
So thank you.
This whole soundtrack is in my main Spotify playlist. This is up there for me with like Repo and Hedwig as like soundtracks that I have all the songs on my playlists.
Yeah.
You know, I have a little basic bitch in me, although I feel like the basic bitch answer is Time Warp, which is fine. I like Time Warp. But my basic bitch answer is obviously Sweet Transvestite. Like,
also.
I love it. Iconic. Just everything about it is amazing. Tim Curry at his best. And then where I think Tim Curry gets the flex the most, which is probably my most listened to on my playlist, is I'm Coming Home. Like his kind of finale before he
so
passes
good.
away. Like, man, that can get you in your feels when you're just like alone in your car.
Have you ever seen Sunset Boulevard?
No, I haven't.
I like every time I watch that movie and like he's singing that song, it just makes me think of Sunset Boulevard for some reason.
But like I said, I mean, it's really hard with this because, you know, like Hot Patootie, I really enjoy. Like, I think that's super fun. I love, you know, science fiction double feature. I love all those. This is just one of those ones that's really hard to pick apart. And I agree with what Mike was saying. Like, it's also one of the few musicals that is really easy to pull the music out and just listen to the music because it's so well done and well written as songs themselves. Which I will say is, you know, I was saying a little beforehand, you know, as I was doing my research knowing we were going to talk about this, you know, I went, obviously, that, you know, this is like a cult classic, iconic. It's, you know, it's in the Institute of Film. It's a culturally important film. So, you know, obviously it's been redone, remade. I think probably the most famous version is Glee did like a whole episode dedicated to it. I don't know if there's going to be people listening that are Glee fans. I know nothing about Glee other than it looked terrible. Anything I've ever seen of it looked terrible.
I'm not going to lie. Back in the day, we used to get together and watch it every week. We did that for like the first 3-year-ish seasons. But that's because we used to love old Ryan Murphy shows, and this was before he turned into like... But anyway.
But
so it was like, it's like it was bad, but it was fun. You know what I mean? It was one of those like, oh my god, like what songs are they gonna butcher this week?
This was like, you know, I basically watched all the clips, all the major songs. So I watched like Time Warp, Sweet Transvestite, like all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, this is what happens if the Rocky Horror Picture Show was created by like white Republicans. And like, it was just, everything was like show tuned and just like desanitized.
And that is the whole point too. So
I don't I don't know the actress's name that
Leah Michele?
No, that played Frankenfurter in the episode. It was like
I don't remember who it was.
It was like a bigger black girl. I don't know anything about the show. And she has a great voice, but she doesn't have
she's an excellent singer, yeah.
She doesn't have a great voice for this because she's very like polished R&B voice where like you need to like, it needs to be like raspy and it needs to be like a little more rock, a little more like like, I don't know what you'd have to have. Like,
Yeah, Amber Riley. I was trying to remember her real name. I was like, Mercedes.
yeah, you have to be Tim Curry, essentially. But, and it was just, I was saying to you guys before we started recording, like, they also did stuff because it was on television. So, like, instead of, like, saying sexual, they would say sensual. And you're just like, oh, come on, really? And especially where I was like, but they still don't mind saying transvestite or, which, I think might be the biggest, faux pas. Like, I don't think that word's really used anymore, nor appropriate. Obviously, I think in the context of this film, we can use it in this film.
Yeah.
Because, it's been adopted, so.
It's an antiquity at this point.
Yeah, well, and it's always interesting to see how words and stuff come out of thin. And Richard O'Brien, like, later on in his life actually came out as trans.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did know that, I feel like most people that saw this were like, oh yeah, okay. Like, I didn't know it was that hidden, but yeah, he came out. And he's also had some controversy around things he said. He's old school, I feel like it's, it's kind of like the old school feminism thing where it's like old school versus new school. So, I think it's important to put forward that he's said things that, about how, like trans women can never become real women and all this kind of stuff. And you know what I say? Same thing I say about all old people. They're going to die soon. Don't worry about it.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, still 82, still kicking. I think he still does productions of this, in the, I don't know if he's in New Zealand or
and
the
yet
UK.
George Michael is dead.
Yeah, no. But,
it's not fair.
But yeah, so I saw that, not very good. I did see some clips from the Fox remake with Laverne Cox, and that was also absolutely horrid. I love Laverne Cox, but she is not a great singer. She just didn't have the aura for this character. And Eddie,
Laverne Cox is too like hot.
Yeah.
And sexy. Like it's not that,
hot.
Yeah, exactly. Not like the kind of grimy back alley alien scientist way that you should.
Laverne Cox is like Oscar chic, where you need like someone.
Laverne Cox is like a fucking supermodel.
Yeah,
like
you need like someone like Grindhouse, like style for this one. And all I will say about that one is Eddie, played by Adam Lambert.
Oh, Adam Lambert is good though.
Not as Eddie. It was the worst.
Girl, but he's a good singer.
But Eddie, you know what it is? I'm just I guess I'm the old one. I'm just like, it was Adam Lambert singing Eddie's part, and I'm like, this isn't, I don't believe Adam Lambert is like a 50s, like smoking all the time greaser.
Yeah. No, that's true. Adam Lambert does have a better voice than Meatloaf, so you're right about that.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, I guess I can't see without Meatloaf. Although I did kind of think when I was watching the clips, I was like, I would be curious of Adam Lambert playing Frankenfurter, because I think I would be more.
He'd be slay as Frankenfurter.
But that wasn't great. And then I did get to see some clips from the 06 tribute in the UK. Anthony Head playing Frankenfurter, who should just do all Frankenfurter impersonations. He went in full drag. He has the voice for it. Like, I don't know if it's like maybe the British thing also. Like, they just kind of have that infliction, but he was really, really good. Maybe I'm just biased because Anthony Head, Repo, so.
Yeah, it's the only two.
I love how it's like your bias for him is not Buffy, like 99.999% of the population.
Repo.
Your bias for him comes from Repo, like 0.0000001% of the population.
Yeah. Idea though.
Bro. Never stop being you.
In my opinion, Jack Black as Eddie would be so good.
Yeah, I can see that. I
can see that, yeah.
And that's the kind of singer I think that should be.
You need like someone
Eddie.
who's like husky and rough and tumble, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Adam Lambert
Not
was
that
just
Jack
coming
Black is
in
rough
and
and tumble, but...
he was like skinny, his makeup was perfect. Like, I was just like, no, Adam Lambert is not a guy that's
beautiful.
been in deep freeze.
Yeah. Again, it's just, they had, like, just hot people. Like, that's the issue.
Anyway, we're not talking about this version. We're talking about the original version. So, let's talk more about that. Frankenfurter's Castle.
Oh my god,
it.
like literally, I just wanted to like hump the whole thing. Literally. Like the moment I remember the first time I saw it and they walked in the door, I was like, I need this fucking house. Like, I need that paneled walls.
And this is the
So
DNA of this, where, you know, I'm sure there's going to be people that listen to this episode. Like, I follow your podcast for fucking horror movies. Just because it says horror in the name, what does this have to do with the horror movie? But
It does.
the Frankenfurter house is a set piece from many a Hammer horror films.
Yes.
Which, you
Brides
know,
of
we
Dracula.
love. Yeah.
Which also, first of all, I love this set. I think it's great. And also, this whole movie lends itself to a gothic situation. So, like, gothic novels. So, I think very much like Dracula, Brides of Dracula, obviously Frankenstein, are very, like, forward moods in this movie. And I love that about it.
Maybe a little, like, tiny smidge, like, just a little, like, literally 2 grains of salt of, like, something like a Wuthering Heights.
Yes.
The obsession, the dark, like... Yeah.
And horny and gay.
Horny and gay, yeah.
To me, this is like the ultimate expression of love of horror. I mean, Richard O'Brien has talked about, like, when he wrote this as a dedication of his love to, you know, like 30s to 60s, like sci-fi horror flicks, especially B horror flicks. And, you know, you can tell by the tones and the campiness of it. I mean, we get that great horror scene. There's 2 to me really great just horror scenes in this. One is Frankenfurter killing Eddie, where we're getting that look, just we're getting the camera like shaky cam following him. And I'm like, this is like what horror's made out of. Like,
it's very unexpected.
It was brutal too.
Yeah, super brutal. And then, you know, of course, Eddie's got to be involved in all the horrors. When we get the reveal of Eddie's corpse in the table, all cut up, and you know, cannibalism. There's cannibalism in this movie. So don't talk to me about this not being a horror movie.
Yeah. And you also have like the castle, and then like the graveyard, the thunder and lightning. And also like the whole Frankenstein bit of it. So like, you know, the dead body in the little chamber. I love that scene. I took a picture of it on Instagram today. But you know, you got the camera angle peering down at the wrapped body, and then you have Dr. Frankenfurt looking up, and like he has his hands up, and then you have his 2 assistants on the side. It's such a great shot. So yeah, very horror.
All of it is just fantastic. Rocky, I don't know. I Frankenfurt has his own taste. I thought Rocky was all right.
Not my type. Never a blonde man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. It's like this, he just made the most generic, like, fucking, you know, no imagination, like, what is it, like, put into the computer, what is attractive? Muscles, blonde hair, white, like, it's just so, like, supposed to be the most boring, like why is he so obsessed with this, you know, like, who is this? Everybody else in this room is hotter and more interesting than this creature, right?
Rocky Himbo horror show.
Well, and they, you know, I guess it works for the purpose. I can't remember what it is, but like Riff Raff makes a joke at the reveal of Rocky. Like he makes a joke about, like, you know, like Hitler's version of like the perfect person, like the blonde hair.
Well, yeah, I was gonna
eyes.
say it's like hints at like that, like it's the like Aryan, like ideal, because they do drop you know, those few hints during the movie of like allusions to like Nazi Germany in their past and stuff.
Did you notice the I read
triangle?
a thing, the triangle, it's like inverted on his like lab coat or whatever.
Lab coat,
that's really cool.
I was gonna say, just talking about the triangle and stuff, like I figure we gotta talk about like costuming and, you know, stuff about this, like perfection. I mean, obviously we can, you know, obviously the place to start would be like Frankenfurter, the corsets, the fishnets,
heels,
torn fishnets.
Yeah, heels. Just salute to all the men in this that, you know, rock the heels.
Mm-hmm. And the pearls, honey.
Yeah, that big old fucking thick ass pearl necklace.
The doctor outfit of Frankenfurter, just like iconic and just looks fantastic. I mean, to me, I don't know, my preferred Frankenfurter look is kind of, basic. It's the corset and the heels coming down in the elevator.
I get chills when he comes down that elevator.
Oh my god!
You're like, step on me, Frankenfurter, step on me.
Please, I want him to wake me up in my bed.
It's Pride Month. Where's Frankenfurter?
Yeah,
like
they could never make me hate him. I don't care the ugly things he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Riff Raff looks great. And, I would figure if you've seen this a couple times, but I guess if you're listening to this and maybe, I don't know, I'm sure we have like some younger listeners that are just getting into Rocky Horror, but Riff Raff is Richard O'Brien. Like that is the guy that created the Rocky Horror Picture Show. But like, yeah, he looks fantastic. Magenta looks fantastic. These guys don't think so. I think Columbia looks fantastic.
Oh, she looks fantastic.
Girl, we love her.
I don't like hearing her, though.
So you're saying women should be silenced? That's what you're trying to say?
No, it's just the squeaky voice. I can't. It's like the Betty Boop type voice, I can't really do it. But my favorite outfit, I think, besides Frankenfurter, is at the end with Riff Raff and Magenta, where the one was like really, modern
outer
sci-fi
space,
suits, shoulder pads,
jagged shoulder pads, edges sticking out everywhere. Yeah,
and the hair. I love that he has like the bald hair with the ponytail, and then she has the Bride of Frankenstein.
Hair. Blowout. Yeah,
fuck, so hot.
That outfit's fantastic. The ray gun. I think the ray gun looks awesome.
That like tuning fork. Yeah, it was so good.
Because they could have went and tried to make something look, like more modern for 1975, but I love that they kept the feel of like a 50s drive-in. And, we were talking about the horror stuff, the horror adjacent scene stuff, but like even the radio tower in the background in that, area, like giving you, the ideas of like beginning of those pictures where they'd have the radio tower and the...
Well, it's like RKO picture.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And depending on how you watch this too, like, if anyone does go out and buy, I don't know if it's on all the Blu-rays. I know it's on my like 40th anniversary one, but you can actually watch the beginning. The whole beginning of this was actually meant to be in black and white, like the lips and everything. The original idea was that the whole beginning of this movie was going to be in black and white, like an old-timey movie, and then it would kind of kick in the color. I don't know when. I did not watch that version because obviously to me you need the red lips and stuff.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Although
that working,
I wonder,
honestly.
maybe the red lips are there. Maybe it's black and white once it goes to the movie, and then when Frankenfurter comes. But even just that beginning, I want to talk about. I love the fact that I always forget that like Magenta and Riff Raff and Columbia are there mimicking the American Gothic portrait.
Yeah, oh my god, that fucking painting.
And Frankenfurter also, he's there at the beginning as the priest.
I love that.
Which I remember when I first couple times seeing this, I thought I was like, oh, it's like a play, so it's just like they're playing other characters. And then obviously, as I got older, you're like, oh, wait a second, no, like they planned this meeting from the beginning, so...
Sorry, more costumes. All the, like, citizens. I love that they're wearing, like, very, like, futuristic gothic, like, the sunglasses and all the, like, the really modern, like, sharp suits and their hair. I don't know. I thought it was really good.
It's actually, like, kind of seems like something out of the 80s. Like, if you didn't know, you'd think it was, like, shot in, like, 85. And it's like, oh, wait, no. This actually, like, anticipated that new wave, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it is definitely futuristic for 75.
Yeah.
The Transylvanians. Yeah, I love them. I also love that... even if you don't like Columbia's voice, I like the Transylvanians' voices are like a little high too, so they're like a little weird, a little alien. They like definitely just awesome.
Stream Alien by Katy Perry. Well, Republican. Oops.
Oh, is she?
Sorry. We're not going to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, we haven't talked about Brad, who, the straightest of the, or he likes to think the straightest of the straight of this movie. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, I don't know. Frankenfurter got in that bed. Brad did the like, oh my God. And I was like, I don't know if this was your first time, Brad. I'm not sure.
In 30 seconds, Brad was like flipped over with his like.
Yeah.
It's a
good thing we can't do video right now. Like this is.
Yeah, it kind of seemed to me. I was like, Brad, it seems like you might have done this before.
I don't know. It might have been his first time, but he definitely fantasized about it.
He knew exactly what move to make. That's all I'm saying.
It was instantaneous.
Yeah. Brad melted like fucking butter, man. But who wouldn't? Again, Frankenfurter, hello.
Yeah.
Literally just slaying everybody regardless of gender.
The hottest thing.
And I mean,
inclination.
also, Janet flipped way quicker. Janet didn't even really have to think about it. She's like, oh no, okay, yeah, that's okay.
She was like hinting at it all before it happened, though. Like, you know, when they brought out Rocky, she was like, I don't really like muscles. And then like 5 seconds later, she's like, I like muscles. So she was ready to cheat on Brad very quickly.
Oh yeah, you can tell that she was probably not getting any.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they're both very sexually frustrated.
Yeah, and I think that's like I'm gonna go and talk about themes now.
We still need music. We need like we need Gill's theme corner music.
Someone work on that, please. One thing I really liked, like from the beginning, when you get to meet them and they're at a wedding and Brad feels pressured to make the next like logical move to propose to Janet, even though you can tell he doesn't really want to. It's just like the thing that you do. And their relationship is super dull. And I love the scene where they're driving past the motorcyclists and then Brad goes, life is cheap to those types. And I think that's really funny because they have the most dull life ever, whereas the motorcyclists are having a great life. And then going into like the theme of like hedonism and just, you know, living your life the way that you want to live it, being who you really are at the core and just being free, I think is really big, and also why it's so big in the gay community with like identity and stuff. And yeah, it all comes down to them like flipping so quickly because Dr. Frankenfurt shows them that they can be free, they can do all these things that they want to do. And yeah, I just really love that.
Frankenfurter said YOLO.
I mean, it's just crazy that, you know, to think like just how wildly forward this was, like in 1975. And, you know, like you said, like, yeah, just obvious reasons why this is just like a must-to-go, like must-watch Pride pick. Like, just for all the gender fluidity stuff and you know, that stuff, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, you can be the Frankenfurter sweet transvestite, you know, like, but there's lots of times that men in this are dressed in what would be like assigned as female, you know, like feminine clothing, but are still masculine in the movie. Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, I just think it's fantastic. Like you said, just the way everyone's kind of out and about gender and the just like sexual freedom that this you know, movie's giving everybody.
Yeah, and another thing, we were talking before we recorded about you know, bisexuality in horror films, and I was talking about how I found that kind of hard to find because it's usually overtly one thing over the other, but you definitely see it in this movie, and I think somewhere Tim Curry said that Dr. Frankenfurter would be pansexual. And you totally see that because he's, you know, having sex with Janet and he says, you're so soft, like a feminine quality. And then when he's with Brad, he's like, you're so strong and protective. And I just love like they had that duality and the scenes were kind of the exact same, just different people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, by the end of this, they're all doing that. Cause like when they're in the pool, when they're all in the pool towards that end, you know, the third half there.
Just an orgy.
Yeah. It's just like, literally
of bodies.
Janet is, you know, making out with Columbia and Magenta and Brad, and yeah, just a giant orgy. Doesn't matter gender, age, nothing. It's all it all goes down in the Furter household.
Yeah, there's no crime in giving yourself over to pleasure.
I was gonna say I was laughing when I was watching this because I was thinking about Susan Sarandon, and even young, I don't know what it is. It's probably just because, my entire life it's just been like old Susan Sarandon. But like I kept thinking like even though she's really young in this, I'm like I still like even when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, she kind of just looks the same. Also, I don't know if she's looks young as an old person or looks old as a young person.
No, because she's always been hot. And she still is, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, we talk about Tim Curry and how I love Tim Curry and, Meatloaf and stuff. But, like, for actors, I mean, like, obviously, like, Susan Sarandon is, like, the biggest actor in this or would become the biggest actor in this. So it's just, like, yeah, it's just kind of nuts to think, like, how iconic Susan Sarandon is. And then, like, she's just in... what could be one of the best musicals all time is one of the best musicals all time.
If not
I mean, that's a big conversation. I go over that in my head too many times a week of, like I said, there's a lot I love and it's like, is this it? Is this the peak of musicals? I don't know, but I'm not going to argue it so I don't have people mad at me or anything. I'll tell you what it is better than, Colton. La La Land.
Lol.
Oh my god.
Yeah, more like La La Land.
Got him.
Gagged him.
Yeah, jeez, I feel like Colton's been getting off easy, I think, this one. We haven't really been roasting him, but...
I know. We're having too much fun.
I will let all the listeners know this, too, when you're done listening to this episode, that it was extremely hard for me not to pick moments of this episode that just break out in song and sing. I was just, man. Like I said, I just finished watching it for a second time before we started recording. I'm already like, when I'm done recording, I'm going to go listen to the soundtrack and bang to this. I got this on vinyl, so I put it on the old record player.
Of course you do, yeah. That's the way to listen to it.
Okay, we talked about set, but we did talk about the lab, which is a crime, because that's such a great set and how it's like all tinted pink and red. And I love that there's so much red, and then also like in the lyrics they're saying at the end, rose tint my world, keep me safe from trouble and pain. And
it's like
love
a womb.
That. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because they're birthing Rocky.
Exactly.
And you bust through the wall of ice. Like, it's crazy.
Oh my god. Okay, two things. First of all, love the red there. Love that set. And I forget what I was going to say. Oh yeah, sorry. Going back to, how we find out at the end that Dr. Frankenfurter is a very lonely man on the inside, even though he exudes all this like sensuality and like confidence and everything. And I think him like doing all these things to, like having low morals or having sex with everyone or doing whatever for fun. It's all kind of like a mask, like a shell to what's really on the inside. So I think that's really interesting. I love that this movie has like a lot of heart. It's not just all jazz and whatever. And one of the things he said I really liked in like a Frankenstein kind of context, when he says he's got the secret to life itself. It's not just creating life, but also actually living life. And, that's really what the movie is all about.
I was going to say, I 100% agree with all that. Like, it's interesting because, it's campy. Yeah, it's like wild. It's fun. It's funny. But like, the messaging in it is also like so good. And it still holds up so well that like, just, it's not often there's a movie that holds up this well. This far in the time.
So Mike, you said, people coming through walls. One of my notes was, what's up with people bursting through the walls? So I Googled it, and apparently they forgot to build an extra door on the set. So that's why that happened.
Wild. I love it.
Also, going back to Meatloaf.
Fucking love it.
Me too. I wrote down, worst part of the movie, Meatloaf's Bic pen knuckle tats. Best part of the movie, when Meatloaf dies.
Oh, wow. You guys are going to have to start getting a fight now.
No, his death is just so good.
No, it is. It's very... Well, I mean, like you said, it's that moment. It's like a real good horrific moment, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Another thing, the props. Even just like the little things like the weights that Dr. Frankenfurter
the
gives.
gift wrap weights,
yeah,
the ribbon
it looks like
weights.
Candy, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was candy first, and I was like, that's a really interesting choice, and definitely they must have tried to do this. But also the bench that he wraps up for him, and also the way that he straddles that bench during the song is all I can think about while looking at Rowan's shirt right now, because it's kind of the same position where he's just rocking on that bench.
I'll put the camera down so you can look at it better.
Oh,
those
perfect.
legs.
By the way, everybody, because you can't see it, Ro is wearing a beautiful shirt of Frankenfurter with a like rainbow flag coming out behind him. It's wonderful. It's a great shirt.
That.
I was going to say the props, just great. Anyway, it's kind of cool because they were like over accentuated, but it didn't like pull away from the movie. Like, you know, they were, like I said, it was just, this really draws a line that I can't think of any other movie of like, it's super campy, but in a way, it's also like not really. I can take it fully as a.
Oh, absolutely! Yeah,
is.
I don't. When I think about this, camp is not actually the first thing I think of.
Yeah. I wrote the electronic meat slicer is a paid actor.
You know what? I love just like 70s, 80s movies all have that electronic meat slicer. I've never seen one in real
it's
life.
Fucking scary. My parents had one from the 70s.
I want one.
That they actually still have it. They never. And you know what? Actually, I say they never use it, but I think they do sometimes use it when they're making like a turkey or something. It's like old, like, you know, that 70s classic, like olive green, like every appliance was like an olive green color. Yeah, it's like, I don't know how it still works, but I guess in the 70s they made stuff, you bought it and it was supposed to last forever. So they got it when they were married and still got it up on the shelf or in a cupboard somewhere in their kitchen.
That's like stuff from, you know, that era. It never breaks.
No, never. It was meant to last. It's not like, oh, you need to buy 8 of these. It's like, you're going to buy one, it's going to be expensive, and you'll never have to buy another one again.
Yeah.
Unless you get divorced.
Well, I guess we'll land the plane and get to rating this, because I know you guys are waiting in anticipation. So if you're new to the podcast, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, we're going to start with you this evening. What would you rate 1975's The Rocky Horror Picture Show?
On this rainy, thunderous evening, I would rate Rocky Horror Picture Show a fucking slay.
Fuck yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's fucking amazing. It's captivating from the beginning to the end. The music's great. I don't even like musicals. And this is one of my favorite movies. Tim Curry in drag really does it for me. I think he's a great singer, great performer. I love the costumes, the makeup, the set design, how gothic and just like dark it is. Love everything about it. So, you know, it's a slay. What about you, Mike?
I will also give it a slay. Naturally.
Wow.
Like, of course, obviously, it's got everything that a good musical for people that don't like musicals needs.
Yeah.
I guess because it's more of like a rock opera, you know what I mean? Which was like kind of in vogue at the time. You know, you've got your Tommies and Quadrophenia and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just like the songs were bangers. The cast is impeccable. Like we were saying, the sets. It's just this. And I love like throwbacks to B movies that are done with like it's poking fun at it a bit, but it's mostly out of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, you know, you really see that deep love for like that genre and like taking the tropes, but like inverting them. I love that it's just this like fucking queer ass movie that somehow got embraced by like the mainstream, and like people still like, I would think this is probably, I mean, I don't know how you would get stats on this, but this has to be one of the most performed musicals by like I think every high school at least once every 2 years does a version of this for like their theater group or whatever.
This played at the theater company in Halifax last year. I was going to go and I ended up all the dates I had to work, but like we have a pretty famous theater here called Neptune Theater, and they did a whole production of this that sold out for like 6 months.
Yeah, we went to one here in town like October, like it was about Halloween last year, and it was phenomenal. It's great. Anyway, yeah, so it's like just this super queer, grimy, and it's a decadent, right? And I just love a really good decadent movie, and it just works so well. It's just like dripping in that. And like I said, the songs are bangers. I love listening to it. It's one of those movies that like every time I watch it, I'm like, there's something new for me to like focus on and get absorbed by. So yeah, total slay. Round it out.
Well, wouldn't it be such a bummer if I came in? I'm like, no.
I would literally quit right now.
You know what? It might be good. It might be good Colton's on here. Although you know what? I still think, because Colton's going to listen to the episode. Colton, I still think you'll actually like this.
I know. I think if he gave it a chance and actually had an open mind about it, that he would like it.
I think anyone I've ever
at least a little bit
introduced to this at least thinks it's, good. Like, it was worth watching. Yeah, obviously, I'm going to give it a slay. We just did the coveted triple slay. It's been a long time.
The seldom achieved triple slay.
I'm not as eloquent as Mike with my words, so I'm just like, yeah, it's a damn good movie. That Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I watch this all the time. I love the music any way I can get it. Tim Curry, Meatloaf, everybody, Columbia, like I said, God bless you, Columbia, or younger Rowan at least thought, God bless you, Columbia. Like it's just everything about this is perfect. This is what I want in a musical. Yeah, it's the perfect musical to me. So yeah, 3 slays. I would expect no less from us. So, so we told you what we thought of the film, and now, we ask you what you thought of the film. All right, so on Facebook, we had Veronica write in, and she said slay ! And then just wrote fave with a heart.
Nice.
And then we had Charlene write, and she gave us just an iconic gif of the scene I was talking about where the camera's looking at Frankenfurt when he's got the pickaxe and he's coming after Eddie. And she said, all the slay, capital letters, ! Of course.
I expect nothing less from her.
And then we had Cecily write in on Instagram, and Cecily wrote in capital letters, fave of all time. It awakened my true freaky self.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that.
So,
she is a freaky.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what I expected. People writing in with slays. This is a beloved movie. Everybody loves this film. And then I know we had a question before the horrific hotline, so we'll do the question because Cecily sent in a question for us. Cecily wants to know, love, marry, kill. And the people you have to pick are Janet, Dr. Frankenfurter, and Meatloaf. And she wants to know why you picked who where.
All right, I would marry Dr. Frankenfurter because if you marry him, you can fuck him forever. So, number 1. 2, I would fuck Janet because she's hot, but I wouldn't want to marry her. And 3, I would kill Meatloaf because those Bic pen knuckle tats got me rolling, man.
Rolling because they're a big roller.
Whoa.
Okay. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. It could go either way. I just literally drafted while she was talking 2 different versions of this list, but this is the one I'm going with. So, fuck Frankenfurter, obviously, for the exact same reason.
I like that fuck is your choice, even though Cecily didn't say fuck.
Okay, but the game is not love, marry, kill. The game is fuck, marry, kill. So, Cecily, I know you were trying to be, like, not... I can be potty mouth because it's my podcast, so I'm saying what I know you wanted to say, but didn't. So, fuck Frankenfurter, because, obviously.
Obviously.
Marry Meatloaf. because I think the music would be really good, and kill Janet because like she's the most boring out of all three of them. Honestly, like she's hot, but like just does nothing for me.
Oh my god!
And like honestly, her underwear was just a no.
Atrocious.
Yeah, it was like that underwear was an absolutely not.
You know what's great about all this is we're all gonna have different answers, so I like this.
I love it.
Go ahead.
So I said love, or as Mike says, we have fuck Frankenfurter, obviously, and only because. I mean, we see in the movie, Frankenfurter, he doesn't want to be tied down. He wants to be your side piece, or you be his side piece.
You be his side piece, yeah.
So I'll pick him. Marry Janet, I don't know, just, I guess I got to keep up my hetero norms or something. I know, but Janet's nice. She's sweet. And then kill Meatloaf, because I don't know, I'm just not really, Meatloaf isn't my jam. Not really into it. Although I will say, after doing that, it did remind me of probably the funniest Letterboxd review I saw for this movie that just said the reason why Brad and Janet's relationship didn't work is because they're both bottoms.
Oh.
I saw that.
Yep.
Just made me think about that.
Brad is verse. Thank you very much.
So with that, let's head over to the horrific hotline. Nicholas called in, of course, and gave us his thoughts, and I believe also had a question. So we will listen and find out.
All right, Rocky Horror Picture Show. What a great movie. Loved it again, as I did all the times I've seen it before. Though I have to say, I mean, the entire movie is weird and all over the place, but I do enjoy the first hour or so a bit more than the final 30 to 40 minutes. Basically everything up to the point where the Meatloaf, what's his character's name? Where Eddie's corpse is revealed under the table. Up until then, fantastic. Afterwards, still good, but somehow I can't tell you why the movie loses me a bit. Still fantastic, though I have to admit, just rewatching it now, a few hours ago, in preparation for your podcast, is the first time I've ever seen this movie on my own, and it shows. This is a movie to be watched with others, especially in not sure, but I'm probably can think that you talked about it, to be seen in a cinema with other people where they all dance and throw the rice and all this stuff. I mean, I hope they do it in Canada and America too, the United States too, because that's something they do in some German cinemas when they rerun the movie, and it's fantastic. And overall, yeah, love the pick. It's great. The songs are amazing. I love Tim Curry in his role. I like most of the actors and actresses in the movie. They're just fun, sometimes a bit annoying, but I think they're supposed to be. It's just a movie that you can put on. You're right back into it with the first song, science fiction double feature, which also gives you a great to-watch list of those somewhat schlocky but decent sci-fi and horror movies from the 40s and 50s. Yeah, but it's not the best movie I've seen, but it's up there. I'm going to give it a weak slay because there is a few things missing for me in the later half of the movie, but overall, great time. And a final question, because it is, I'd say, a horror-adjacent musical. What are your opinions on musicals and horror musicals in general? Because I can only think of Anna and the Apocalypse, which I personally really like, and there is another one, I forgot the name, in a musical camp. I think that one stars Meatloaf too, actually. But horror and musical, Little Shop of Horrors. Actually, there are a few. Anyways, I'm running out of time because it's almost 3 minutes now, but I hope maybe this doesn't get cut and you have a brief discussion about horror musicals, because that's what I would like to hear you talk about at some point. Bye.
Listen, we'll give you the pass for the 3 minutes. You said it was the middle of the night. I do know when he sent this email over, it was we had pretty much just, like, the episode had just released. We're all going to the World's Fair. So he, like, pretty much listened to that and immediately went and watched Rocky Horror. So
Nice.
And then, you know, shout out to Nicholas, because I know in his email he signed off with hot patootie, bless your soul. So
nice.
And I can't believe we actually didn't bring up about, like, yeah, the shows in theaters all the time, people yelling at the screen, singing along.
It's playing tomorrow near me. I was thinking about going to see it again for the third time this weekend.
I've never actually experienced one of those. Me and Exilia did a trip a couple years ago to New York, and it was on our list. That was one of our top things, is we wanted to go see a showing of it. It was like downtown New York, wherever like the big theater that like the biggest production of it is done, where they have actors playing it out in front of the screen. But unfortunately, when we were there, they were like on break or something. They weren't doing it. So I still actually need to see this in a theater. I played last year in a theater and I missed it. But this is one that I feel always pops up at some point. But yeah, I want to experience one of those.
Well, I didn't have that as such, but when I did my film studies class in undergrad, you know, we'd have our weekly screenings in the like little auditorium room in the building. And 1 week we did that, and he was like, you know, just in class the day before was like, you know, anybody who's coming, like, who hasn't seen it before? And, you know, a lot of people raised their hand, and I had already seen it like at least twice or three times at that point, as had my friend that I was in the class with. And he's like, okay, good, because you get to experience it, and we're going to do the like rice throwing and all that. And so he was like, you know, so if you don't usually come to the screenings and you would like to experience that, like, and you've never seen it before, like, come to it. And so it was the most people I think I had seen in any of our screenings the whole semester, and like they did the whole interactive thing, and it was really fun. And I was actually kind of jealous that people were seeing it for the first time and getting that. But I also liked that I had already seen it, because then I could not pay attention to the movie when that stuff was happening and not lose anything, because you know, I knew what was going to happen. But yeah, they do that. That's like kind of standard, I think, all over the place. They do that all the time here too.
And then you asked about other horror musicals and if we were into them or whatever. I mean, obviously, I like a good horror musical.
You've only mentioned Repo about 8 times this episode.
I'm sure if Colton was here, he'd bring up Sweeney Todd, which, you know, I don't think is good, but...
I love Sweeney Todd. That's the only other horror musical I've seen, actually, I think.
I mean, I have a couple that I enjoy. I mean, not as much as Repo. Repo's probably up there for me, but other ones I would suggest... in the same vein, probably like The Devil's Carnival, which is actually it's the same guy that made Repo. It's kind of like a sequel, but not really. It's a shorter one. It's only like an hour long. He also did another one called Alleluia, The Devil's Carnival, which was the third one. I really enjoyed that. There's a great Trauma one, if you're a big South Park fan, called Cannibal the Musical, that like Matt Parker or Matt Stone? Matt Parker, Trey, whatever Trey Parker, Matt Stone, the creators of South Park, before they made South Park, did a Trauma musical called Cannibal the Musical about the Donner Party. And that one's pretty funny. Trauma has another one called Poultrygeist that is a musical about killer KFC, essentially. That one's really fun. I enjoy that one. That's kind of all I can really think about, but I like them. If they're to me, they kind of have to be campy for me to like them.
Yeah, well, he did mention Little Shop of Horrors, which is another good one. It's very much in the same vein.
How am I not talking about Little Shop of Horrors?
I know. I'm like, you're like talking about Poultrygeist, and I was like, girl, you're skimming over the first one. I thought you were gonna like blow your wad over.
which I'm sure we'll review at some point. Like Little Shop of Horrors, I might like better than Rocky Horror. Like I grew up on Rick Moranis' Little Shop of Horrors. I have like a statue of Audrey too. Like I love Little Shop of Horrors. I can't believe I forgot about that. I've never seen Anna and the Apocalypse, though. I will say that. So.
Me either. I honestly haven't seen that many. I'm not gonna lie. Those are pretty much it. The ones that we've talked about.
Jill's just smiling, so I'm assuming that Jill.
I just said all I've seen were Edward Scissorhands, Jesus Christ, Sweeney Todd, different Johnny Depp.
I feel bad for you. So yeah, if you want to be like Nicholas and call into the hotline, you can do so by just messaging us on any social media. If you get us a voice clip, email it or just message us, say I got a voice clip for you. We'll get it. We'll somehow play it on the episode. And you can also, text the podcast questions or just your thoughts on movies that we've talked about by going in the bio, like I said, with our new feature, or just messaging us, of course. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at It Slays Podcast everywhere. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, X, Tumblr, Bluesky, Threads. Basically, if there's a social media, we are on it. And Jill, do you want to let them know how they can be like Nicholas and become a horror hound?
Sure do. If you want to be like our awesome horror hounds, Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Sacrotype, Mark, Joy, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose the tier that works best for you. So on both tiers, you can get access to the main show 48 hours early, access to our side show, Stream Screams, hosted by Rowan and I, where we review Creepshow episodes and Tubi movies. And at the Horror Hound tier, you get a shout out every episode, as well as the ability to choose your own pick for us to review if you've been subscribed for 6 months. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out.
I like how you described it as a sideshow, like we're a joke.
I like it, because it is a joke. I love Stream Screams. It's the most fun.
And yeah, if you want to get your horror music on, you can go to Spotify to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that I just mentioned before. Go in the bio, click the Linktree link. There's a link there to take you directly to it. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. I am sure I will put some bangers from the Rocky Horror Picture Show on there. I'm a man of my own word, because I bang the It Slays Podcast or playlist in my car all the time. People are like, can this guy stop listening to the Killer Clowns from Outer Space song? And the answer is no. And now I'll have some Rocky Horror Picture Show to listen in the mix. So yeah, go there, get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And last but not least, we have to announce our next film that we're reviewing. You know what? This one, not a themed month. We're giving Mike a break. He's tired out, guys. It was bad. Remember we did the whole fake scenario of me showing up with a gun and putting it in Mike's mouth? He was kind of hoping that I'd pull that trigger and he didn't have to do any more 3 months.
I was.
I'm
not gonna lie.
We're letting our we're letting it all hang out for July. Is it July? Jeez, it's July.
Who even knows? What's time anymore? I don't know.
So, Mike, why don't you let the good people know what they need to watch for next episode?
Okay, it is something a little somewhat different. We're gonna do from 1973 the animated film Belladonna of Sadness. Content warning: there is assault in it, but it's very interesting, and I think everybody should watch it. And it's probably online somewhere, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, not that I would.
So yeah, get your eyeballs on Belladonna of Sadness, and we will be back in 2 weeks. And I'm sure there's some now slayings going on there, somewhere in the middle there. As always, thank you for all the support. I am your humble host, Rowan.
Thanks, it's Mike.
Bye, it's Jill.
See you later.
I see you shiver with anticipation.